Have you ever noticed that in some relationships, it feels like she's holding on tighter than you are? Like her thoughts, her emotions, even her peace revolve around you more than you realize. Today, we're diving into a truth many men overlook. Sometimes she needs you more than you need her. And understanding this can completely change the way you show up in love. Step 1. Emotional stability is the core of attraction. Emotional stability is one of those qualities that often goes unnoticed, but it is the invisible thread that ties a relationship together. Women are naturally drawn to men who can remain calm, composed, and grounded, even when life gets messy or emotions run high. It's not about having everything figured out or never feeling stress. It's about how you manage yourself when challenges appear. When you carry a sense of inner calm, you create a space where she feels safe, secure, and understood. She doesn't need grand gestures or constant validation. What she truly responds to is your ability to stay unshaken, to navigate tension without losing yourself, and to provide a steady presence she can rely on. Emotional stability becomes a magnet because it signals strength, maturity, and reliability, qualities that she instinctively knows are essential for a lasting connection. Think about it from her perspective. Life throws her challenges, doubts, and emotional waves constantly, and she is always searching for someone who can handle those storms without being swept away by them. A man who panics, overreacts, or becomes defensive at the slightest provocation inadvertently creates chaos instead of comfort. But when you demonstrate emotional stability, you communicate something far deeper than words. You are a man who can hold the weight of responsibility, someone who won't crumble under pressure, and someone she can look to when things feel uncertain. That reliability, that calm in the eye of the storm, is what makes her lean in emotionally, even when she tries to resist it. She finds herself seeking your presence, craving your reassurance, and valuing your ability to stay grounded more than any material thing or fleeting attention. It's also important to understand that emotional stability doesn't mean being distant or disconnected from feelings. It means understanding and managing your emotions in a way that doesn't destabilize the relationship. It means listening when she expresses frustration without immediately reacting defensively, validating her emotions without necessarily taking them on as your own, and maintaining a sense of perspective even in tense moments. Women notice when a man can handle emotional complexity without losing his composure because it reflects a level of self-awareness and inner control that feels rare and powerful. That sense of control isn't about dominating her feelings. It's about providing a safe emotional container where love, respect, and connection can flourish naturally without constant tension or unnecessary drama. Over time, your emotional stability begins to define the dynamic of the relationship. She starts relying on your presence not because she feels weak, but because she recognizes the calm, grounded energy you bring into her life. It subtly shifts the balance of emotional dependence, creating an environment where she feels secure and cherished, and where her need for your stability outweighs the superficial aspects of attention, validation, or fleeting passion. Step 2, masculine frame creates security. A masculine frame is more than posture, confidence, or the way a man carries himself. It's the foundation of emotional and psychological security in a relationship. Women are instinctively drawn to men who have a clear sense of self, who know their values, their boundaries, and their purpose. When a man embodies a strong masculine frame, he becomes a pillar in her life, someone she can trust to navigate both calm and stormy waters with certainty. This doesn't mean being controlling, domineering, or rigid. It means having a consistent, grounded presence that communicates stability without words. She senses it in the way you make decisions, the way you carry responsibility, and the way you respond to challenges. That invisible strength creates a magnetic pull, a reassurance that no matter what happens, there is a foundation she can lean on without fear of collapse. Security, in the eyes of a woman, isn't just about money or external protection. It's about emotional and mental steadiness. A masculine frame communicates that you are not easily shaken by external events or emotional turbulence. You have the ability to stand firm when life tests you, to maintain perspective when emotions flare, and to remain composed when chaos surrounds you. This steadiness allows her to relax into the relationship without constantly questioning your reactions, your commitment, or your ability to handle the complexities of life together. She doesn't have to manipulate, beg for reassurance, or test your loyalty because your frame naturally projects reliability. That is a rare quality, and when she experiences it, it sparks a deep sense of need and respect that goes far beyond attraction or superficial attention. What makes a masculine frame even more powerful is its subtlety. It's not about showing off strength or dominance. It's about quietly owning your space in life, establishing boundaries, and sticking to your principles even when it's inconvenient or uncomfortable. Women notice this consistency because it demonstrates self-respect and integrity. When a man can remain calm under pressure, make decisions confidently, and hold himself accountable, he becomes someone she instinctively trusts. She may not always articulate it, but she feels it deeply. Your presence stabilizes her world, and your clarity gives her a sense of certainty that she doesn't find elsewhere. That combination of strength and reliability cultivates a longing for your energy, a dependence on your steadiness, and a recognition that your presence is more essential than the fleeting distractions or attention she might encounter elsewhere. A masculine frame also creates space for her to express herself freely without fear of judgment or chaos. She can share her emotions, her vulnerabilities, and her desires because she senses that you can handle them with care and wisdom. This security allows love to grow organically and dependency to form naturally, not from neediness or insecurity, but from trust and recognition of your strength. She comes to rely on the sense of stability you provide, and that dependence reinforces her attraction, her respect, and her emotional investment. Step 3, her emotions depend on your energy. A woman's emotional world is deeply influenced by the energy a man brings into the relationship, often more than most men realize. Her moods, her confidence, and even her sense of security are tied to the subtle signals you project through your presence, your tone, and your consistency. When you carry a calm, confident, and grounded energy, she feels a magnetic pull toward you without even consciously noticing why. She aligns with the stability, strength, and emotional clarity you provide, often unconsciously regulating her feelings around your energy. Conversely, if you are erratic, overly reactive, or uncertain, she senses it immediately, and her emotions shift in response. This isn't manipulation or intention. It's simply the natural way women attune to the energy of the men closest to them. Understanding this dynamic gives a man extraordinary influence in a relationship, not through control, but through the simple act of being present in a stable and centered way. Energy speaks louder than words, and women are highly sensitive to it. She doesn't only hear your tone or see your actions, she feels the consistency of your presence in her life. If you project calmness in stressful moments, she feels safe expressing her fears, doubts, and vulnerabilities. If you carry confidence and purpose, she feels motivated, inspired, and supported. She begins to measure her own emotional rhythm against yours, seeking reassurance in the energy you exude rather than constantly testing or questioning you. That's why emotional stability, self-assuredness, and the ability to manage your own internal state are so critical. When you maintain a positive, grounded energy, you naturally become someone she depends on to maintain her balance, someone she turns to when life feels overwhelming, and someone whose presence she craves without needing to demand it. It's also important to recognize that your energy sets the tone for the entire dynamic of the relationship. If you approach interactions with calmness, patience, and empathy, she feels free to open up and share without fear of judgment or conflict. But if your energy is inconsistent, anxious, or volatile, she may retreat, test your patience, or even act out emotionally to gauge whether she can rely on you. Women are intuitive to this energy alignment. They don't just notice it, they internalize it. Over time, her emotional dependence on your steadiness strengthens, creating a bond where she values your presence as a source of emotional regulation and security. This doesn't mean you have to manage her emotions for her, but it does mean that the quality of your own energy has a profound impact on how she experiences the relationship and how deeply she invests herself in it. The energy you carry is subtle, yet powerful, and it becomes the foundation for attraction, respect, and emotional reliance. She begins to look to you not just for words or attention, but for the reassurance that comes from your inner strength, your consistency, and the calm confidence you project in every situation. Your energy influences her mood, her sense of self, and her comfort within the relationship, shaping the way she connects, trusts, and ultimately depends on you. Step 4, your purpose is more attractive than her attention. One of the most overlooked truths in relationships is that a man's purpose will always outweigh a woman's attention in creating genuine attraction. Women are naturally drawn to men who have a vision, a mission, and a sense of direction in life because it signals strength, self-respect, and reliability. When you are deeply invested in your purpose, your focus, and your growth, you are sending a message that your life doesn't revolve around her validation, approval, or constant attention. That independence, that dedication to something bigger than fleeting desire makes her recognize your value on a level beyond superficial attraction. She begins to see that your presence in her life is a gift, not a given, because you are already whole, complete, and committed to your own growth and ambitions. Purpose creates a magnetic pull that attention simply cannot replicate. Women are instinctively drawn to men who operate from a sense of mission because it reflects competence, confidence, and resilience, qualities they naturally seek in a partner. When your energy is focused on your goals, she senses that you are unshakable, unwavering, and disciplined, and that energy becomes intoxicating. It doesn't matter how much she tries to gain your validation or command your focus. Your dedication to your path creates an aura of independence and self-sufficiency that cannot be manufactured by flattery or charm. The truth is, when you prioritize your purpose over her attention, you shift the dynamic entirely. She begins to value your presence, not because she demands it, but because she realizes that it is a privilege to have your energy, time, and focus in her life. This principle also shifts the emotional balance, make choices without hesitation. The ability to lead naturally draws her in, creating a dynamic where she feels more connected, more trusting, and more reliant on your presence because she senses that you can handle the complexities of life with confidence and composure. Leadership in this context becomes a silent magnet, attracting her emotionally, mentally, and even physically without any effort or forced action. When you lead, you establish a framework within which the relationship can thrive. Women feel the difference when a man has direction and purpose. They recognize it in how he makes decisions, handles challenges, and navigates uncertainty. A man who leads demonstrates not only his competence, but also his ability to provide stability, which in turn creates emotional safety for her. She doesn't have to second-guess intentions, test loyalty, or manipulate situations to feel secure. She knows that the path forward is being guided by someone who is confident, self-assured, and capable. That certainty allows her to fully invest emotionally, to relax into the connection, and to follow willingly because she feels that her emotional and practical needs are being met without coercion. Leadership transforms the dynamic from negotiation to natural alignment, where her trust, admiration, and reliance grow organically. Leading also requires a man to balance assertiveness with empathy. Women notice when a man can take charge while still listening, respecting her perspective, and considering her needs. It's not about making decisions in isolation. It's about taking responsibility for the direction of the relationship and being accountable for the outcomes. When this balance is struck, she feels supported rather than controlled, guided rather than restricted. She begins to see that your presence brings clarity and structure to her life, which naturally enhances her need for your leadership. She aligns with your decisions, follows your direction, and invests emotionally because she recognizes the stability, wisdom, and strength that you bring, not because she is obligated, but because she feels the security and value in your guidance. Over time, your leadership defines the rhythm and energy of the relationship. The more consistently you demonstrate clarity, decisiveness, and emotional strength, the more she comes to rely on you. She begins to follow not out of fear or dependency, but out of recognition that your guidance enhances her own life, makes her feel safe, and allows the relationship to flourish. Your ability to lead becomes an anchor for her emotions, a source of inspiration, and a reason she values your presence more than fleeting attention or temporary affection. Step 5. Independence makes you irreplaceable. Independence is one of the most powerful qualities a man can have in a relationship because it creates a magnetic force that draws a woman toward him without effort. When a man is self-reliant, emotionally grounded, and fully invested in his own growth, he communicates a level of confidence and self-worth that cannot be manufactured. She notices when a man's happiness, purpose, and sense of direction are not dependent on her presence, validation, or attention. That detachment from neediness does not mean emotional coldness. Rather, it signals that you are a complete individual who brings value to the relationship from a place of abundance, not scarcity. Women are naturally attracted to this energy because it flips the dynamic. She begins to see you as someone rare, someone whose presence in her life is a privilege rather than a given, and someone she cannot easily replace. Independence creates a sense of balance in the relationship. When a man does not cling or rely excessively on a woman's attention or affection, he allows her space to appreciate his worth and contributions without pressure. She feels the freedom to breathe and exist fully in her own world. And paradoxically, that freedom deepens her attachment to you. Women respect and desire men who have their own lives, ambitions, and boundaries, because it demonstrates that you are capable of handling responsibility, making decisions, and leading your life with clarity.